Today we're on Chapter 9, Lesson 8. I'm on page 607 in the book. This is a hands-on lesson and we don't have the hands-on material, so I'm going to be drawing model fractions and multiplication. Okay, so you have learned to write a fraction as a sum of unit fractions. Remember, when we have 1 as the numerator, that's a unit fraction. So a unit fraction will be 1/5 or 1/3 or 1/2 or 1/64. As long as 1 is the numerator, that's a unit fraction. So for example, 4/5 is equal to 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5 plus 1/5, because we've got 1, 2, 3, 4 of them. That equals 4/5. You can also write a fraction as a multiple of a unit fraction. So we're going to use an equation to write 4/5 as a multiple of a unit fraction. And it would be nice if we could use our fraction tiles, but we're going to make do with what we've got. So if I were going to draw my person, remember neck, arms, and legs. Then we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, that was a horrible try to make them equal. They should be equal. That wasn't very good. Okay, so I would be doing 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's 4/5. And you can see that's 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, and 1/5. Which, as you'll see down below, can also be written 4/5 equals 4 times 1/5. Because basically this is saying 1/5 4 times, which is what this picture is showing. It's showing 1/5 4 times. So this 4/5, can we still see? Yeah, 4/5 equals 1/5, 1/5, 1/5, and 1/5, and all that equals 4 times 1/5. These are all the same, written in different ways. How many 1/5 did you use? As you can see in the picture, I've used 4 of them. So how many times is 1/5 being added? Is being added, let's see if the pen's going to work for me right now. 4 times. So 4/5 equals 4 times 1/5. Now we're ramping up the difficulty a little bit. You know that 6 is a multiple of 2, 2, 4, 6. Any multiples of 6, such as 12, 18, and 24, are multiples of 2. The same is true for fractions. A multiple of a fraction can also be written as a multiple of a unit fraction. Use an equation to write 2 times 4/5 as a multiple of a unit fraction. Use repeated addition. So we're writing 4/5 2 times. 4/5 4/5 equals 2 times 4/5. And if we were to solve this right here, which is what it's showing me right here, 4/5 plus 4/5 equals 8/5, which is what it's telling me here. It says model 8/5 using fraction tiles. So I'm going to show that here. And this time I'm going to try and draw better neck, arms, and legs to make my person. That makes my fifths a little bit better. So now I need to show 8/5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, I've run out of sections, but I haven't gotten to 8/5. So I'll need to draw another circle and try and make it as close to the same as I can, but I'm human. So now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Now I got my 8/5. This is the picture model for what you're seeing here, 8/5. Okay, so if I were to write that as a mixed number, does it ask us how many 1/5 tiles did we use? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That makes sense because it was 8/5. So 8/5 is a multiple of 4/5. A multiple of 8/5 equals 8 times 1/5. Write an equation that is showing that 8/5 is a multiple of unit fractions. We just did that. 8/5 equals 8 times 1/5. So 2 times 4/5 equals 8 times 1/5. Right? Yeah. Write an equation showing how 3/8 is a multiple of 1. Okay, so if I were going to draw that in my pictures, I would have 8s, and I can draw my circle, quarters, 8s, and that is definitely not equal. We're going to shade that 1 in to make up for my mistake. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So that's 3/8. And how many 1/8 sections is it? 1, 2, 3. 1/8 plus 1/8 plus 1/8, which would also be written as a multiplication equation, 1/8 3 times. Make sense? So that's how you'd write that one. Now, since 6 is a multiple of 3, you can see that 6/8 is going to be a multiple of 3/8. You're just going to have to figure out 3 times what gives me 6, and that's going to be your whole number for that one. Let me give you a little bit more of a hint on this. So we've got 6/8, and we need to get 3/8 to get me there. So how many of these am I going to need to equal that? How many times am I going to add 3/8 to get 6/8? And then however many times is going to be the whole number times 1/8. Hopefully you can figure this part and this part. I'm going to do this with you and get you going when you're doing your independent work. And I'm going to start by doing number 5. Hopefully number 3 and 4. Once you've seen number 5, you can go back and do 3 and 4. Okay, so you've got 5/12. And according to the directions here, it says use an equation to write each fraction or product as a multiple of a unit fraction. So remember, our unit fraction has a numerator of 1. So 5/12 equals how many 1/12? Well, I'm going to keep adding until I get 5. 1/12 plus 1/12, 2/12s, 3/12s, 4/12s, 5/12s. 5/12 equals 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12 plus 1/12. Which would be, if we were writing it as a product, which it didn't ask us to for practice, it would be 1/12 5 times. Oops, not 1/2, 1/12. Sorry about that, my mistake. 1/12 5 times. So that's how that one is done. So that's how you're going to do 3, 4, 5, and 6. I'm going to show you number 10 because that looks the most scary out of these 4. So I want to show you the scary one and have you work on the other ones on your own. Okay, so we've got 3 times 7/8, which is 7/8 3 times, right? 3 times 7/8 is 7/8 3 times. Now, if I've got 7/8 plus 7/8 plus 7/8, 7, 14, 21. Okay, now if I wasn't running out of time on this video, I'd show you all the 21 1/8, but I am running out of time, so I'm going to show you just 21/8 is 1/8 21 times. So that's as a multiple of the unit fraction. Let me write it. Multiple of the unit fraction asking for on numbers 7, 8, 9, and 10. That's what you're looking for. Hope that helps you get through this page. Okay, so this is the last page, the problem solving. Apply it. Fraction tiles and repeated addition to write 3 times 3/4 as a multiple of a unit fraction. Draw your result below. So first thing we're going to do is the fraction tiles, and since we don't have the tiles, we're going to do the fraction pictures. So 3/4, 1, 2, 3/4, and we need to do that 3 times. 1, 2, 3. 4ths. 1, 2, 3. So if I wanted to write an improper fraction of this, they're all divided into 4ths. So my 4 is going to be to my denominator. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9/4. Okay. Now that we've got this, we can see what our multiple of a unit fraction would be. So I could write 9 1/4, which would be all my unit fractions here. Or I can just see that this is 1/4 9 times. Now that answers as a multiple of a unit fraction. So here's the fraction tiles, and here is the multiple of the unit fraction, which is the second part of what they're asking here. So everything that I've drawn here, you should have in your box and lines that you've been provided. Now continuing on to number 14, Gracie and Jackson each bought 2/3 pound of blackberries. Circle the correct equation that represents 2/3 as a multiple unit fraction. So you're going to write 2/3 2 times, and then you're going to write all the unit fractions for that, 1/3 as many times as you need to get that. And then you'll know which one is the correct. It's either this one or this one. You're going to circle one of those. Now looking at number 15, it's basically asking you how many times did you add. This is 1/6 how many times. So you're just going to write m equals, and remember not to include this one. You're just going to go with this side of the equal sign. You might end up with an extra if you don't pay attention to that. Now a over b be written as a multiple of a unit fraction. And I can just hear the screams. This is confusing. So 2 things I would suggest. First, remember the unit fraction, the numerator is 1. So that'll help. Also, try doing this a couple times with numbers. Replace a with a number, replace b with a number, and see how you convert that to unit fractions. And then we do the same thing with 2 different numbers and convert that to unit fractions, and see if you start to notice a pattern when you're that is the best advice I can give you. This is a challenging one, and if you don't get to an answer on that, please ask me when we get to the corrections and we'll go over that. But like I said, do a couple examples replacing a and b with different numbers, and remember that your unit fraction has a numerator of 1. That's as much help as I'm going to give you on that challenge problem. And I'm out of time, so continue on with your work. You guys are doing awesome. I appreciate your patience with this.